And now it's time to sip the coffee and spill the tea on Talking with 3D Live. Here's your host, Derrick Dixon.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Talking with 3D Live. I am your host, Derrick Dixon, and this is where we always sip the coffee and spill the tea. Listen, before we even get started, do me a big favor. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Click it, love it, share it. Do all those things and make sure that everybody knows about Talking with 3D Live and IRoseFilms Productions. So again, thank you for joining in. I have another exciting guest sitting right here with me on Talking with 3D Live. And I just want you guys to meet, for my first time meeting as well, Miss Toni Whitten, always also known as LadyT. She is here with me, and I just want to tell you guys a little bit about her. But first, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
I am just so excited. I really actually have heard a lot about you from the other LadyT.
Yes.
But I know that you were coined and the original LadyT. So I'm just really excited to meet you.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming. I want to tell everybody just a little bit about you.
Okay.
You are a seasonal entrepreneur. You're a devoted wife, nurturing mother, also a lover of dogs. So you're a dog mom as well. LadyT has a passion for empowering women and has a keen eye for fashion. And that's why I wore this today, because I knew she had a keen eye for fashion. So I had to make sure I was on my A game. So I made sure of that. She's also the founder of Charlotte B. Closet, the first upscale consignment store in Woodlawn, Maryland. She's the founder of Charlotte B. Closet, the Housewives of Baltimore, a Facebook group that empowers 22,000 women. Also, she has founded and directed the Housewives of Baltimore nail salon, and she's been on several different media outlets. She's been on Fox, featured on Fox 45's Be More Lifestyle, and also on WMAR 2 ABC. She's also been on several different radio shows as well, and now she's right here on Talking with 3D Live. So again, welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I know that you were getting yourself ready. You were getting ready to go to a fashion show in New York.
Yes.
And just trying to gather your things together. You rushed over here. And that means a lot to me because, again, just to sit here with you. Tell me a little bit about, first off, I want to talk about your boutique that you have and the consignment store that you have, because are you getting things together now for the fashion show, or are you just going to the fashion show?
We're getting stuff together for the fashion show.
For the fashion show. So tell me about, and our listeners, about your consignment store in the Woodlawn area.
So initially, it was a consignment shop, and because of the community of women, we turned it into a thrift store. Based on my growing up in the thrifting era, I turned it into a complete thrift store. So it is no longer a consignment shop.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So tell everyone, because what's the difference between consignment and thrift store?
So consignment is when customers that really value their items and they want to sell them.
Gotcha.
They put them in the store, and then customers will buy them. There's a percentage between the client as well as the owner, and then it's split. In the thrift store, 90% of the things in there are donated. And is the thrift store, is it more geared towards women, or is that men and women? Men and women.
Men and women?
Yes.
Okay, so I can go over there and find me some things up in the thrift store.
Yes, you can.
Because I love a good thrift store.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you can look around. I love me a good thrift store because
Yes.
you can find so much in there.
Yes.
What got you into the business as far as having the consignment store, which is now a thrift store?
I think I'm a product of Baltimore City growing up in a low poverty area, and we didn't get all of the latest things. And so I was very discouraged as a child, and I didn't understand why we couldn't get these things, but when I went into the thrift store, we would find the most amazing things in there. But it was a shame that we would feel when we would leave out. Until I had my own 4 children back to back, and my husband and I were unable to afford things, I started going into the Goodwill, into the Salvation Army, and we're finding real treasures of things that I wanted back in the 80s. I'm like, I wanted these jeans. And they were there. And so I learned to like the thrifting and the yard sales, and became an avid goer every weekend, sometimes with me and my husband, or just we're on our way to an event and it says yard sale this way and the event's over, we're at the yard sale.
Right.
So
today's episode of Talking with 3D Live is brought to you by IRoseFilms. IRoseFilms photo booth will capture every special event, from birthday parties, weddings, baby showers. They also specialize in 360 booths, also videography. So please make sure that anytime that you have a special event, contact IRoseFilms, IRoseFilms.com.
that's what got me into really, really wanting to, I guess, make it my own.
And I love that because you are now making it so it's not, something that you have to be ashamed of.
Correct.
I understand that feeling, because you would think, I have to go to the thrift store, I have to wear hand-me-downs or second hand store things. So therefore people now can go and know that you can still feel like you went and found those jeans that you really wanted now that you have them. And you can now afford them at a great price.
At a great price.
So people don't have to feel like belittled because the fact this is where I got, my clothing or something for my kids.
Yes.
And a lot of the things that you see there in thrift stores, you can't even tell that.
Nope.
You don't even know.
No.
You don't even know. I'm telling you, half the things in my home right now are from thrift stores.
Wow, mine too.
From thrift stores. So I love a good thrift store.
Yes.
When I don't find at one, I know where another one's at, and I'm up the street at the next one. So thrifting, I think, is a good idea. When your children see that you have a thrift store or know your story, how do they feel about that now, knowing that, mom felt this way, or this is what she had to do, or what our family had to do, and bringing up kids now, of course, we got to buy PS5s for $500. We have, all the new gadgets and everything. So do they take advantage of, the store that you have and being able to know that they have that in the palm of their hands?
They do. My children are very proud of me in terms of just what we've accomplished in the last 2 years. When I think of thrift stores, I think of smell, and doesn't smell well. It doesn't have the best clothes in there. So we wanted to change the dynamic of what a thrift store looks like. And that's what my Google reviews review.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like a thrift store. It smells of lemongrass. It looks like a boutique. I've had people come in and say, hey, is this a thrift store?
Yeah.
And so I made it my own. It's named after my grandmother, who made me understand what she went through, and for me feeling a way about her, and internally or externally going through it the same way, I hold a lot of homage to her to say thank you for teaching me the right way, and that my kids say, I love thrift stores. So they love them, and I have to tell them, we got to sell this stuff. You can't use it, So that's their thing. Something comes through that door. I want it. Like, no, me too. I'm that person.
You see it, yeah. So how does a person, if they do have a lot of things, bring them to you in order to, give back to the community or sell them to other people that that have a need for clothing or items? How does a person, myself, bring items to the thrift store? Is that something that we can do?
At all times. We take donations 7 days a week. So we're always there. Initially, I came in, of course, I owned a nail salon for 4 years. It wasn't a part of my life. And I opened up a thrift store with maybe 3,000 to 4,000 garments. And being the owner of an empowerment group, we have accumulated over 55,000 garments in 2 years. And so it's always been said to me, me that one man's junk is another man's treasure. And I've actually seen that these are treasures that are in there. So people will say to me, well, if you don't want to give it away, there's not one thing that's in there that I don't want.
Yeah.
I love everything that I have.
Yeah. Is there any don'ts, like when people do bring anything into you, even though you say you love everything that people bring, is there any don'ts? It's like broken toys or something that you know that you can't resell?
Well, I think right now we're just servicing clothing, accessories, things like that. No home products.
Okay.
There have been some issues I've had with things that are not clean.
Okay.
And that it costs to extra clean and to get it up to standards. So maybe 1% of that time I've had a problem, but out of all of the garments that I do have, no, I've not had a problem.
That's great, and that's great. You are also you talked about the nail salon that you started. So, and is it called the Housewives of Baltimore Nail Salon?
Yes, it is. It was.
So, you're also the founder of the Housewives of Baltimore of Facebook.
Yes.
So a lot of people want to know, okay, is there a movie? Is there a show? What is that about? Because again, you are empowering women. You have a group of 22 plus on your Facebook group that you're empowering. So what made you inspired to do the Housewives of Baltimore?
Oh, it is an amazing story. I was a housewife for 20 years from a very young age when my children were young. We could not afford daycare and different things. So I opted to be a housewife or a woman that took care of her children. And that's what I call myself, the housewife of Baltimore County.
Okay.
And around that time, the Real Housewives of Atlanta and all of those were coming out. And I just stuck with the name for a long time. And December 2018, the shows had taken off, and I decided to name a group called the Housewives of Baltimore. We were given a lot of shade. The name was not good. We didn't think it was going to come together. The first week I opened, we had 500 members. Within 2 weeks, I had 2,500. Within 3 months, I had 15,000.
Wow.
And so with that, there are a lot of not so great people on Facebook. So we had to kind of turn it into a business where we were throwing out the spammers and the scammers and putting real women that were like-minded in there that wanted change inside of the women culture.
What are some of the things, because empowering women to me is important, and then women empowering women, very important. You know, when we had Kamala Harris run for president, and we saw that so many women were empowered by that. And when she was not elected, how it really affected a lot of women. So when you say empowering women, what does that look like? Because a lot of women say, well, the housewives, are y'all sitting around bickering? Are you doing this? Are you doing? What does that look like for other women? What is it? Conversations? Is it, helping each other out? And I would feel like that is, but there's a lot of people want to know, what does that mean?
I think it goes by the generation. I mean, there's the silent generation, there's the baby boomers, there's the X, the millennials. It goes all the way down. And so when you go back historically, I'm going to speak of Generation X, which is my generation. There was a very need to make sure that the things that we didn't get in the era of drugs and the large murder rates, that we wanted our children to see different things. However, there was the survival of the fittest that came with that. And so when, like I said, I was in the house for 20 years. So God preserved me for a very long time not to see betrayal or envy or anything. The greatest betrayal was my Rottweiler eating my lasagna, So when I came out of the house in 2018 to open up a massive group and to become an instant influencer, I wasn't aware of what the world had turned into. And so when I see that, my mindset has always been and will always be that the queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard.
Wow.
And so with that being said, if you ever watch someone play chess, You remove that queen and somebody's going to get upset.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for someone to have that much power, the enemy had to go through us in order to destroy an entire nation. And that goes for the woman president as well.
Yeah.
It baffles me that the camaraderie of womanhood is not there when we have so much power. So
That to me, that statement alone is very powerful. When you take the queen out of the equation, and that's when we do a lot of times have a lot of turmoil.
oh yeah.
Very much so. For women to understand how powerful they are. You know, some women, I believe that they truly get that they're very, very powerful. And we need women for a lot of things. But there's that woman that doesn't know her value,
Of course.
that doesn't know her power. You know, that woman that doesn't stand up for herself.
Oh.
You know, what do you tell that woman?
Well, I think that's a great topic. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful topic. I think that through Generation X, a lot of us had a lot of trauma. And that trauma stopped at a certain age, which is the ability to have an emotional IQ. My emotional IQ until I started healing that younger self was 13 years old, even at 45 years old. I'm 48. And so until I was 45 years old, my reactions to another woman or to another person was the reaction of a 13-year-old child, the trauma. And so until a woman is able to have an emotional IQ and to deal with adulthood trauma, fix the childhood trauma, and work on the adulthood trauma, you're able to decipher how to move accordingly. Emotional IQ, high levels, you will never see a woman step out of her comfort zone because the child in her is healed. She's playing, she's living, she's loving life. She's not scared anymore. But when you have a woman that is 45, 50, 60, that is still operating at an age of trauma at 10, that's the response that you get. And you have so many of them out there. It's not their fault. They don't know how to go back into that little girl and say, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah. We made it.
We made it.
Yeah. And another thing I was going to say is that a lot of time, you know, and we do it as people, but women will repeat the same relationships over and over and over again because they haven't dealt with that 13-year-old child.
They haven't.
And they don't know how to get, as you said, go back in and say, hey, let's you know, it's okay.
It's okay to deal with her. She's crying. She's reacting. She's temper tantruming. She's playing double dutch inside of you.
Yeah.
And those things are why a lot of our prison systems are there. You have women that are physically mature, but emotionally they are not. And I think that the hardest thing for myself, it took me until I was 45 years old to unpack childhood trauma, to realize that I hadn't even done with the 18-year-old trauma that was able to get the wisdom to understand how to deal with the 48-year-old trauma that's coming. Because trauma is going to come throughout our life.
Yeah.
It's what we do with it.
It's what we do with it and how we deal with the trauma.
Yes.
Because we will carry that luggage with us everywhere we go. You get into a new relationship, you bring your luggage. You have children, you pass your luggage on to your children.
Yes.
I wrote a play, and the script, the name of the play was same script, different cast.
Different cast.
And it's the same thing, but we have just learned how to pass our trauma onto our children.
Oh, yeah.
Onto our relationships. So therefore, they just copy the same thing.
Yeah.
They copy the same thing. When you are empowering women and they need that listening ear, you know, because a lot of times we want to think we can fix it. Do you think it's more important sometimes just to listen, that they just need the listening ear?
Yes. I think that there are many influencers in the world that are chosen, and it's what you do with that chosen. I believe that we're all here for one purpose, and that's for us to live right. And so I believe that if you're given an opportunity, a platform of 22,000 women with 90% activity, you have no choice but to give out positive affirmations and still deal with yourself.
Yeah.
Every morning for 2 years, for 22 months, I wake up every morning. And at first I thought it was just, nobody's listening, until they started coming into the store and said, that people-pleasing thing you were talking about, I get it.
Yeah.
Never met her before. A couple other ladies come in and say the same thing. It's working. You just need one.
Yeah.
And so I was baptized in March of 23, and it changed my life. I told God, if you save me, if you stop this, I will say your name every day. And I have. Wow. Inadvertently healing the younger Tony. She is laughing. Her sense of humor is back. There are times where I feel afraid, but it's not a fear of, oh my God, it's Tony will handle it.
Yeah.
Lady T got it.
Lady T has it. Are you ever afraid that whatever happened in the past, are you ever afraid to talk to your children now about that? Because I know a lot of times when we hold on to a lot of things that we've been through, and we have children, we have families, because in the Black and brown community, we're always taught our business is our business, and we don't discuss it outside of the family or anything like that. Are you ever afraid to say, I want to sit down and talk to you about this situation?
I've done too much of it.
You've done too? Because I think that we have to learn how to do that because we've lost that skill.
I think it's a catch-22. I think that just like a friend that's not really your friend, not speaking of my children, but if you tell someone how to treat you and that people have treated you a certain way, then you teach them how to treat you. I think that to keeping your children away from bad people is the best thing to do. But to show them how you've been hurt and traumatized in your life is not a child's ability for you to put your trauma on them, not at a young age.
Okay, that's good.
And so it teaches them how to treat you when they get older. I suffered from a very serious, as a housewife, I had a lot of time on my hands, you know. They were at school, I was a dog mom, they required my time, and I loved alcohol. So I turned quickly into a full-blown alcoholic for a very long time. And then I got sober in 18, which was the beginning of learning that it was that big of an issue. But with that being said, that generational curse, which is such a negative word, until I add, I am going to be a generational curse breaker.
Yeah.
And so that is the mode that I'm in now, and it's probably harder than anything I've ever been through.
Yeah. I have 3 adopted boys.
Okay.
And I always said that my purpose of adopting my 3 boys was to interrupt the pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have to learn how to interrupt the pattern.
Yes.
Instead of saying generational curses, we just have to learn how to interrupt that pattern.
Yeah, break it.
Break it, switch it, do whatever you have to do, go down a different street.
Yeah.
You know, what do you say to the single mother? 'Cause I had this conversation with another gentleman and about single mothers raising boys. Because a lot of single mothers, a lot of people tell single mothers, you can't raise boys to be men. You can't raise them to understand their manhood, their adulthood. And I disagree. That gentleman I talked with, he disagreed because the fact that you don't have to do managed things, but you can still teach a boy how to respect a woman. What do you say to those single women? That's coming from a man's point of view. What do you say from a woman's point of view?
I think from a woman's point of view, what I can say, I've never been a single mother.
Yeah.
I've been with my husband 28 years, and when I left my dad, I went straight to him. And what I will say is to see it, I've seen some of the most remarkable children come from single women.
Yeah.
I've seen them put them in mentorship programs and do the best that they can to guide their men and teach them the best way that they can. Or the children say, hey, I want to do this for my mother because she was unable to get it on her end. You can't always bring in the best stepfathers. You can't always bring in the best mentors. I always say in my heart that God will bring someone in to bring that man to where he needs to be, because it's always, I mean, at that point, we're only lent to our parents for a certain period of time. So God takes over from that point.
Right. Yeah. So Tony, you are in this Facebook group, which I think is so important. Of course, you're going to get your people, like you said, you got your trolls, you got your scammers, but then you have your people thinking, you know what, she's been a housewife since she's been 18. What can she tell me? What can, I'm a single parent, I'm a single mother, or I'm this and I'm that. How can she empower me?
It was funny because it wasn't supposed to be a Facebook group for women. It was for housewives, what we dealt with.
Right.
Because this is a community of us.
Right.
That sit home and just take care of other people, and don't get paid for it.
Right. Right.
So, again, what we had to understand is that housewives, my grandmother was a housewife, and she was a chauffeur, she was a bookkeeper, she was a teacher, she was a doctor. I don't want to cry because I miss my grandmother. Lottie was everything, and she was a home, and she worked,
I got this for you,
so,
just in case.
Thank you.
Yes.
And she worked. So when we started that group, we had to turn it into the housewife is not just of a woman that stays home, but a woman that is a homemaker.
Yeah.
And so the reason why there are thousands of women that can relate to me is because when I came out of the house, peeped out of the house in 2018, after being preserved for 20 years, I've gotten a boatload of 7 years of famine and dealing with betrayal and envy, things that women have been dealing with all their lives. I got a real crash course on it. And though I'm still a baby in it, I'm understanding now in my life that change has to come.
Has to come. How has the thrift store, the Facebook group, even when you even had the housewives, the nail salon, how has that empowered you, Tony?
Wow, I lost myself as a housewife. As they were growing, my children were, at one minute they were 2 and 3, and then they became teenagers, and I was just, to me, no disrespect to my family, I was just a mantle on the wall. And I lost myself into alcoholism very bad. And I realized that I couldn't live like that. And I kept asking God 1,000 times to save me. And there was no saving, or so I thought.
Right.
And the 1,001 time, I raised my bottom. All this in the public eye, which was one of the most remarkable things.
Yeah.
Because he put me back together in front of the people that broke me.
Wow.
And so I was grateful for that to this day. And so when I sit there and I see women that are out there that were silent for 20 years like I was, who didn't think that they were who couldn't relate or didn't relate, there are over 22,000 that text me and DM me all through these years and say, I went through the same thing. I had nobody to talk to. I can't be vulnerable with another woman. Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't we have a 10 million woman walk and we all hug each other and say, I love you and I'm sorry? Even if you didn't do anything to her.
Yeah. But he empowered me in front of the people that broke me.
Yeah. Amen. He did.
Empowered me in front of the people that broke me. And a lot of people are like, what? But so many people we've been broken down by. And, I've went through this situation myself just recently. And you're just like, God, why? Why me? But then you think, why not me?
Why not you?
Why not me? Because now, how much more empowered am I now? How much did I grow from that? How much did I look at myself going through that? So I think that it's needed at times, because otherwise we get lost. Like you said, we get lost, and we don't know who we are.
Exactly. Or I think sometimes I thought I was God's administrative assistant. Sometimes I thought like it's us. And they're like, no, this is his battle, his thing, not mine. And I think sometimes I got out of the notion, like when I sent you my one sheet, a lot of the things that God did, I was just a vessel to do. And so when we donated to the families and we've given back to the community, and even though it was a no good deed goes unpunished, this is what God told me to do. So who am I to be angry with people? I have to offer instant forgiveness because he gave me the same thing.
Is it, to find instant forgiveness? Because at times, I always tell everybody, I'm a Capricorn. And Capricorns, when you do us wrong, you've done us wrong, and we're done with you.
Yes.
So our forgiveness is to be just like, oh, all right, see ya. Which is not always healthy, because am I really forgiven, or did I just move on? So either way, it could be healthy or unhealthy. I don't, sometimes I have to figure that out. Forgiveness we always say forgiveness is for us. It's not for the other person, it's for us.
It is.
When you forgive, what does that look like? What does it feel like?
It's a feeling that nobody but you and God can understand, because you want the world to see you forgive and to say, oh, she forgave her. I had a young lady about a year before I opened my store. A group of young ladies do some very heinous things to me. And it broke me down, but it put me in a spirit where God told me to be quiet. And I was quiet. And a year later, I saw this young lady, and she thought she saw a ghost. And she said, oh my God. And I said, hi, how are you? The hug that I gave her was instant forgiveness.
Wow.
And I prayed with her right then and there. That happened to me more than once this year. And I can only say is the promise that I made, and I made God many promises and didn't keep them. The promise that I made is if you take this alcohol away from me, which was not the premise of my problem.
Right.
But if you allow me to continue to say your name every day, I will do it. And then the investment that I give, he inadvertently healed the younger Tony inside of me and gave me the ability to offer instant forgiveness to everyone.
Yeah.
And there's other people that'll come in my life. Those are tests that will come when I get there. But I believe in 100% faith. I don't have a mustard seed of a faith. I have mountains of it.
Mountains of it. I want everybody to bombard your thrift store. So tell everybody where we can find your thrift store.
Okay, we're located at 6324 Windsor Mill Road. It's not your ordinary thrift store. We're located next to Crab Shack on Windsor Mill Road.
On Windsor Mill Road. So I want everyone, bombard this thrift store. You hear me? I want everybody. I know it's New Year's Eve is coming up. You could go there and find you something for New Year's Eve. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on an outfit. You go right here and get your outfit for New Year's Eve. And then from after New Year's, you're going to need some stuff too. So you're going right over there.
Yes.
So I we're running out of time.
Okay.
I could talk to you for another hour.
Yes.
So empowering.
Thank you.
Not just for women. I think that you have a mission to empower the world. I really do.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot, I've learned a lot from you today. And I've learned a lot of things. I'm about to get teary-eyed. I'm learning a lot what I need to do in order to heal myself. Because I still got that baggage. And it needs to be healed.
Okay.
So, we can learn from each other. And this is what this show is about. This is what these conversations are about.
Yes.
So I appreciate you.
Very welcome.
I really appreciate you stopping by, talking with 3D Live. Listen, before we go, I always love me a good game.
Yes.
So we gonna break up the monotony real quick
All
here.
right.
And we're gonna play heads up. I'm gonna give you some cards, and we're gonna pick like 3 cards each. And then on the card, you gotta hold the card up. I'll start. You're gonna hold the card up, and I won't use this one, but up on your forehead. You gotta tell me, you can use either word, and you got to tell me what the word is to, so I can describe what the word is. Is that
Either one or just?
either one?
Okay.
All right, I saw this one, so I'm going to pick another one.
Probably one of the richest people in the world.
The Kardashians?
No.
Okay.
Strangest richest people in the world.
Strangest, richest people. Trump?
No.
Richest people in the world. Strangest. I don't know. We'll go to the next one.
Okay. All right. It's actually on a tree, and
The leaf.
it's one of the best.
Apple.
Yes.
Okay.
Literally, if I'm wearing something, I need to put this on my clothes and make sure it is extra clean.
Detergent, starch, extra clean on your clothing. You need to put detergent, deodorant on your clothes. You put it on your clothes.
On your clothes, in the machine.
It's fabric softener.
Nope.
I don't know.
Make sure you can see straight through it.
You can see straight through the clothes?
Straight through the clothes.
Bleach.
Yes.
Okay, go. You have 3.
All right. So I look at it first, right?
You can't look at it.
Okay.
I got to describe it to you.
Describe it to me. Okay.
Okay. It makes it sound. It eats garbage. It eats garbage. It's an animal. Eats garbage. It eats a lot of garbage. It has
Raccoon.
a thing on its chin. 4 legs. Has things on its chin. You can find
possum.
No, you can. It's bigger, smaller than a horse.
A rat.
Smaller than a horse. Next.
All right.
Okay, he was married to Angelina Jolie.
Brad
All these
Pitt.
kids, yes.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. And okay, Fantasia. She won. She's
America's Best Idol.
American Idol. Yes.
American Idol.
All right.
Yeah. That was fun.
So again, thank you so much for
Thank you.
stopping by, Lady T, ladies and gentlemen. And again, please tell everybody once again where your thrift store is at.
We're at Charlotte B's Closet, 6324 Windsor Mill Road. It is not your ordinary thrift store. We are located in Windsor Mill, Woodlawn, the historic Woodlawn community.
And where can everyone find your Facebook page?
My Facebook is the Housewives of Baltimore Facebook page. It is pink and white. It is 90% activity with 23% activity. Please answer all the questions, ladies.
Answer all the questions. So again, you guys, when you are seeking for someone just to be empowered, to talk to, just to be involved in the community, make sure that you reach out to Lady T, the Housewives of Baltimore, the Facebook page. So again, I want everybody to go out, make sure we bombard this thrift store as well. Thank you for tuning in to Talking with 3D. Go out and love somebody intentionally.